welcome to this episode of Raising Noir Twins. Y'all, I'm your host, Nichelle, and today we have yet another special guest. I'm super excited because not only is he a fellow podcaster, he has this awesome show that's called Uncovered Legacies. And let me tell you, I really love the message. I love the concept of it all. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. So not only is he a podcaster as well, y'all, he is actually the father of beautiful boy-girl twins. And let me tell you, when you find someone that's like another twin parent, you're like, oh my God, someone that understands, you know? So without further ado, I'm gonna just go ahead and let him introduce himself, give his social media handles, so that way you guys can follow him, because this is somebody you definitely want to follow as well. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Curtis Burke.
Thank you, Nichelle, for that beautiful introduction and to the twin power world. Yes, my name is Curtis Burke, and I do host a podcast also called Uncovered Legacy, and it's a storytelling podcast. But I'm excited to be on your podcast today and talk about the powerful world of twins. And I do have 4 girl twins, Malachi and Isabel.
Oh, yes. I love those names. That's really cute.
Thank you.
Nice.
And they're also 2. Your twins are 2 also, right?
Yes, they are. They'll be 3 in August.
Okay.
So, man.
Yeah.
So before we jump into it, how can people follow you, follow your podcast and all that good stuff?
Sure. So my Instagram is Uncovered Legacy Podcast on IG. So if you just type in Uncovered Legacy Podcast, it should come up. Facebook, I have a fan page with Uncovered Legacy fan page. And my personal Instagram, I can give that too. It's KurtDog33. Or you could just put in Curtis Burke, and that should come up. Facebook or my Instagram also. But my IG for the podcast is Uncovered Legacy Podcast. Okay, awesome.
So before we jump into our candid conversation about just being twin parents and like what that's like in our experience, I do kind of want to talk a little bit more about your podcast, Uncovered Legacy. So I've been listening to a few of the episodes, and there's one that just really stood out for me, and that's the HBCU Whisper with Nicole Ford Miller.
Yes.
And so I don't know, I couldn't gauge whether you went to HBCU or not, but I went to Alabama A&M University, and so I was just like, everything she was saying in there, I was like, yes, like all those feelings and emotions were just like, you know, when you got there, you just felt like home. So how did you know Nicole, and how was that episode? And did you also go to a HBCU as well? Like, what was your experience like?
Well, yeah, so I answered the second question first. I went to 2 HBCUs. My first HBCU, I went to Albany State University, which I have on here. Albany State, which is in southern Georgia. It's in Albany, Georgia. I went there for my first years of college. I grew up outside of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm originally from Charleston. You didn't ask that, but I grew up as a teenager outside of Atlanta in Marietta, Georgia, and I went to Albany State. But I'm a graduate from the Tennessee State University in Nashville, Tennessee, which is another HBCU. That's where I got I completed my bachelor's at Tennessee State. So most of the time I just say TSU, but I happen to have on my Albany State hoodie today. But as far as Nicole, I met Nicole when I moved to Los Angeles. She was doing great things out here. She had like an HBCU fair. And so I don't know, somebody invited me who knew her, and I ended up just representing, I think the first year was Albany State, but then I switched to Tennessee State, and then she had a table up, and we just connected, and she had like all these wonderful things. Like she had a step show for high school students. So she asked me to be a judge at her step show called Stepping in the Right Direction. And she has like a college tour for high school and middle school kids. And so I just got thoroughly immersed in her program. And she's an AKA, a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. I'm an Omega, I'm a Q. And so we connected on that too. And that's how I ended up being a judge on her step shows. And so she is doing wonderful things in Southern California, and just creating a legacy that needed to be in the Southern Cal for people of color, and just youth periods about colleges. So
That's awesome. That is, I mean, like I said, when I was listening to the episode, I was just like, oh my gosh, like I remember, and how she was saying that, you know, on the West Coast, if you're not already somehow connected to HBCUs in some way or some form, you don't really know about it. You know what I mean? And so for her to do that and take those children that may, you know, want a different experience or want to know what it's like, I think that's just, you know, amazing. And so, and with that being said, that goes into what your podcast is about. It's creating legacy. So if you want to just kind of explain how you came up with that concept and that message that you want to send out to people through your podcast.
Absolutely. So I kind of fell into the podcast world. Make a long story short, I'm not a person who, even though I do have a master's, I don't like to read. I just be honest, like I'm a visual learner, and I started getting into podcasts because I was like, oh, this is a great way. Somebody could story tell me. Somebody could literally read to me. And so I kind of just started researching podcasts and finding several ones that I liked. And I took a 23andMe test and an ancestry test. And when the results came back, of course, you find things that you weren't aware of, things that you, of course, knew. I knew I was Black, but I wasn't sure what else. And so I just got frustrated because you hit a wall and you find people who aren't able to help you, people who don't want to help you. And I realized, I was like, if I was famous, I could have been on Finding My Roots with Henry Gates. I started getting frustrated because why do I have to be famous to tell my story? Why do I have to have some powerful person in Hollywood or in a political realm for people to know my story? And so I started getting frustrated with that. And my grandmother just passed away at 103, and she was less than 1 month of being 104. And so I was like, her legacy should be told. She lived in several different generations of people and things was going on. And so I was just like, no, she wasn't famous. No, she didn't have a million followers, nor do I, but why can't her story or my story or the Cook story be told? And so as I was researching, I was uncovering my own legacy, things that I didn't know. I was having aha moments and just uncovering things about myself and other people. And so it was like my legacy. And I was just like, what am I doing? I'm uncovering my legacy, but I also want to uncover Nichelle's legacy as well. So I just came up with the name Uncovered Legacy. It just made sense to me because of that. So that's what it is, a storytelling platform where the average Joe, or not even the average Joe, if you want to be famous and beyond, great too. But I just feel like it's important for everybody to have a place where you could record and document what you're doing in society and how you're impacting your legacy. One thing I did find out though, as I started recording the podcast, even like example, like Nicole, you start off maybe with a legacy that you kind of fall into. Like she didn't expect to be this person driving the West Coast and in her company, stepping in the right direction. So it's a legacy that she's creating, she's impacting other people, but it's not one that she necessarily had chose for herself. It's one that chose her. And so the podcast is kind of transformed into that of people having aha moments and having these legacies that they didn't even ask for. It's kind of like me and you both fell into the podcast world, for whatever those reasons may be. We're uncovering our own legacy. And we didn't even expect for this to be our legacy. So that's why as we're going through life, as we grow, we're uncovering our own legacy. So it's a little bit of the past, the present, and where you're going in the future.
I like that. I like that. See, I told y'all, this is a podcast you want to follow because, I mean, everyone has a story and I love that. And I tell people that all the time. You know, I meet all kind of different people just with work, right? You know, I show up to on a trip and I don't necessarily know the people that I'm working with, but by the end, you know, we're together 2-3 days, and by the end of it, you know their story. How they got here? How are we in this space right here, right now together? You know, and so I love that. I think it's a beautiful thing to showcase everyone's journey, their story, whether it be struggles, triumphs, or whatever in between. So thank you for that. So Uncovered Legacies, y'all, go follow, go subscribe, like all that good stuff, so y'all can get it when he uploads the new videos. Thank you. So I love it. And so with that being said, we're gonna kind of change gears a little bit, and this is where it gets chaotic. This is where our legacy, our journey gets just like, but it's fun though, right? So twins. And you mentioned earlier that there are two. So is it like the terrible twos going on in the house right now? Like, what's going on?
It is. I mean, I have to apologize again because you may hear him running up. I hear him right now as we're recording. It never stops. And it's another, not to go back to the podcast, but I didn't plan to have twins.
Right.
I wasn't, so I'm uncovering my legacy with that and how to be a twin father, how to I'm a first time parent too, and so I got a boy girl at the same time, so I'm trying to figure out how to be a father too, a girl and a boy. And my daughter's very much like, we don't push her to be a certain gender way, like she just is very feminine and wants to play with dolls and wants to dress up. My boy is more like he wants to play with dinosaurs and, and if whatever, we just try to encourage them to go in the direction they want to go and we kind of follow. But it's been a roller coaster. And they are too. Yeah.
I can agree to that. It's just, so, I mean, from like you just said earlier, I didn't plan on having twins, which it was funny though, because I have twins in my family, right? And when I was pregnant, my mom and my great aunt would always be like, you're gonna have twins. Like, and I was just like, okay, it's just like old lady, talk, whatever. Yeah. And so I don't know why they thought I was a chosen one, or I don't even know why I was a chosen one, but here we are, right? But you know what? It's really fun though. Like, just like seeing them grow and have that bond and that connection together, I think is really awesome and really cool as well. So as we both said, we didn't expect this, right? So I gotta know, what were your initial thoughts, or like, how did you take the news of like, you are having twins?
Well, my wife has always wanted twins. I think a lot of women say, I want a boy and girl and I want to knock it out once and, be done, and I don't want to be pregnant again and blah, blah, blah. And she would always say that.
But she got it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So exactly. So, I was in shock and I was in denial. I felt like a 16-year-old that someone just told them that they were pregnant or something. I was like, this never happened. We just gonna just keep this baby bump. Like, I remember I was at work and I was on my break. I don't even know I was on break. And we knew she was pregnant. And she said, I'm just gonna go to the first one by myself. No big deal. I was like, are you sure? And actually she went early. Like, she paid out of pocket to go to like this different doctor because she just wanted like, to know more right away. Like, she couldn't wait for Kaiser for whatever reason.
Right.
Kaiser Permanentes.
Definitely West Coast.
Yes. So she called me and she was like, I thought she had a miscarriage because she was like panicking and she was like, Curtis, are you listening? And I was like, what? And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then she just said, it's two of them. And I was like, I don't understand. What do you mean two? She's like, it's two heartbeats. And literally, like, I remember she had to put the doctor on the phone and was like, there's
my goodness,
heartbeats. And like, she had to FaceTime me and I could just see like these two bouncy things just moving up in her womb, just bouncing all over.
Oh, they were active. They were like,
just
wait here.
Really active. Yeah. And I didn't understand what happened. I was like, how did this happen? But make a long story short, not to get in the whole the gene of it all, and I know the woman can has to say so when, especially when it's paternal. I've learned all this stuff about how genes work, but my grandmother's a twin.
Yes.
She's a twin. She had a twin sister. Her grandfather was a twin. He had a twin brother. So, and then her first cousin also has boy-girl twins, and so so she was jealous about that. And then we ended up having boy-girl twins also, but I was in denial. Like, I really was. Like, I just didn't understand what happened. I was like, I don't understand how this happened. Like, that was my reaction. And so I remember I just went back to my desk and I couldn't do anything the rest of the day.
Right.
I couldn't do anything. I may have left early, to be honest with you, because I was just like, why am I here?
Like, I need to process this, you know?
And I remember her wanting to call my parents, and I was like, no, let's just wait. And she wanted to call people, and I think she called my parents on three-way with me. But yeah, so that's pretty much was my initial reaction, denial.
Yeah. So, I mean, and to be honest, I think unless you're trying, I think, because with in vitro, their chances are higher of having twins, right? So if you're like us, where it's just really unexpected, it is kind of a denial thing. I know I was just like, like, we went to our appointments were we had two separate initial appointments. So the first one was we just listened to the heartbeat, right? But their heartbeats were in sync, and so we were just like, oh, our baby's really healthy, like it's a really strong heartbeat, and the doctor never said anything, because she didn't have we didn't see the tech, right, the ultrasound tech. So maybe like a week or so later, and we go, and the lady, I promise you, she like tapped my belly with this thing, and she's like, oh, there's two in there. And I was like, okay, lady, like whatever, and she's like, no, I've been doing this for 30 something years. Like there's two in there. So it was just like a range of emotions. Like I was laughing, I was crying, I was laughing again. I was like, is she for real? Like, it's just all these different things. Because, for me personally, I never was like the woman that was like, I need to have babies. It was like, if I had them, great. If I didn't, I'll be okay too, but I did give myself like a little cutoff, like 35. I'm not about to do that after 35. Right. And so when she was telling me as I'm going through all these emotions, I had just kind of wrapped my brain around like, okay, I'm gonna be a mom of one, like I got this, and then you just throw a whole nother baby in the mix. And so that's why I was like, oh wow, like, can I even do this? Like, God, I don't know what this plan is, but but so I definitely feel you when you're like, it's just denial, and even my sister, she's a licensed therapist, and I feel like the therapist came out in her. So she's like, so how are you processing this information? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm actually good. Like I was excited for it. It was just, it's a shock. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same here, because we were literally like 1 month away. My wife said, if I don't get pregnant this month, we need to try IVF. And people just assume that a lot of times you did IVF, and it's nothing wrong with that. But even though we didn't, but my wife was like, if we don't get pregnant this month, we're just going to do IVF, and we're going to drop two in there. Yeah. And that was her mindset. Like she wanted twins. And so literally like the month before we started really trying to look into that, she got pregnant, not for one, but two. And so we saved thousands of dollars for
that too. Yeah.
but we always said, she always says, like, if we have a third, I want to do IVF and just be done. But I don't know what that means, but like, wants two in there again, but I think we're done. But
I was gonna ask, that's always the follow-up question when you have twins. Are you gonna have more?
Great question. So we're older considered for having babies. Like I'm in my early 40s. My wife is 41 now, I think, and I'm 43. So we got pregnant at 38 and I was 40. Nice. And so I don't know, it's weird because me and her feel like it may mess up their twin energy for some reason. I don't know why. Like I just feel like because most people who I've seen have a single baby, then they have twins. So you rarely see people go back and have two babies, then you have a baby under that. It's usually in groups, but it's three of us. And I won't consider like if we have a third like a middle child, because I figure like in my opinion there will be not a middle child. I want more, but my wife is like, what more do you want from me? She was like, I gave you a boy and girl at the same time. Right. But in her head, she feels like this is crazy. We both feel like we would want twins again. I don't know why. So she was like, if we decided, we would probably want to go that route of IVF. So she feels like she can drop two in there at once. But I'm like, well, if, we make it just do it the old fashioned way, you still get it. So you just never know. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I think we're done. We're tired. We're exhausted. And it costs money. And because we have boy girls, it's to the point where now we're like, her clothes are different than his clothes. He's not wearing her clothes, but she can still wear his a lot of times. But it's still like, it's not the same as when you have two of the same gender, where it's like, if you need two dresses, boom, everything is like, it's like literally having two separate sets of babies at the same time, because it's just more expensive when it's opposite gender, when you have boy girls, because they don't share anything, and my son is bigger than her too, and so it's just we didn't even think about that in the beginning. So it but I love it though.
Like I said, it's fun, but I will say having twins is not for the weak, y'all. It's not. Okay?
It's not. I think too, like it is like a community, because people just don't understand. Like my twins don't sleep. Like I think yours sleep through the night, but my daughter wakes up every night at like 3, and she wants to get into bed with us. And then it's just like, when people are like, well, don't you just go in there and rock her? I was like, no, because she has her brother in there. It is no rocking to sleep when you have another person in there, because I don't want 2 babies up. So I'm trying to like, they share a room. So it's just kind of like, or like my mom was really shocked that we didn't rock them to sleep. Like we would like let them soothe themselves. I was like, because it's 2 of them, we like we will let them soothe themselves. And so she was like, y'all don't rock them to sleep. Y'all don't sit in there. And I was like, who's rocking 2 of them at the same time? Because usually it's one person maybe taking them up, like somebody's cleaning the bottles or whatever. And so we didn't have that rocking to sleep really moment once they got to a certain age, because when you have twins, it's more like survival. Like you have that time to like just read a story to one and hold them in your arms. And so I'm doing the rocking thing. I know you can't see it, but
I saw the shoulders.
Okay. So it's just things like that. You figure out how to, give 2 bottles at once. You figure out how to change 2 diapers at the same time. You figure out, now they're, at first we were giving them a single bath because they were so young. Like I couldn't give them a bath. You're trying to hold up one baby. So so what we did was we had a routine. I would bathe them and she would get them dressed, and then you hand me the next baby. So I usually bathe my daughter first, because my son would poop in there. So I would bathe her first, let her take her, she would change her, blah, blah, blah. And then I would get him and have him in there next. Now we bathe them together because it's easier, but people would ask me in the beginning, like, why don't you bathe them together? I was like, because we couldn't, it was just too dangerous. Like you're trying to hold 2 heads up, and they were so young. But now I would say probably about 18 months, we started to bathe them together. And now I'm like, how did we do 1 bath at a time? Like how was I draining water out, putting new water in, and now I'm like, both of you getting here, and they love it. It's playtime for them. And so they, that's their bonding time too, and I enjoy it. And so it's the same routine. I usually bathe them, and then my wife will get them out, and she would get one dressed, and then I'll get the other one out. One stays in longer. Or sometimes if she's out of town or vice versa, you got to do it by yourself.
You do. And that's how you were just saying that what really struck a chord with me is when you're like, it's like survival mode. Because every day I feel like it's survival, and not in a bad way. Like, I don't want people to think like it's just like, the house is just all of
our house is.
No, well, I mean, sometimes it is, sometimes it is. And more than I think if I just had one baby. So more often than none, right? But it's like survival mode, because it's like, some days I feel like I'm killing it. I'm killing this motherhood thing. Like, I got this. And then other days I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, nothing I do is right. You know what I mean? And so it's crazy. So,
and they're 2 full humans. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. They're 2 full humans, and that's what people don't understand. It's not like a full human and half of a human. Like, they have full personality, so everything is double the work. So and so let me ask, was there something like an expectation, or what you expected something to be like versus like reality and how it really is? Like, maybe advice that somebody gave you, or just experiencing it on your own. I know, like, for me, I'll just let you say what I think, and then I'll let you go ahead and share. So for me, like, a lot of people be like, oh no, it's good you have twins, because they'll like soothe themselves. Like, they have each other to kind of like calm each other down or whatever. And the reality is they be feeding off each other. Like, they they kind of egg each other on, you know what I mean? And so like, sometimes it's easier. I feel like now that they're getting a little older, I see that more. But I mean, they still like kind of go back and forth. And so like to have, like, for the first time, maybe a couple months ago, I actually went out with just one baby. And it was really weird. I was just like,
what is this? Like, where is, I'll have to look for the other one. Like, it was so strange. And so I was just like, oh wow, like this is really cool. You know, one, you get that like one-on-one time with them, but they're also not feeding off of each other. And like, if one kid has a toy and the other sees that they're doing this and they want to go do that, you know what I mean? And so that was my expectation reality thing, was like, everyone kept saying, no, they're good, they'll have each other. You don't have to, not that I don't have to do much, but they have each other to like be okay. And it's like, no, they're making it worse because they're like fighting over this toy or something, you know? So what was that moment for you, the expectation or what you expected versus a reality?
The same thing. People told me that they would feed off of each other in a good way and they would always play with each other. But the thing about it for them, playing means if one's crying, I want to cry too. If daddy's holding me, I want you to hold me too. Yes. And so it's just kind of like this world where it's like you don't feel like you ever get a break. Or if one is behaving, the other one's not. Like, it's just like, it's in sync in the wrong ways, I feel like, if that makes sense.
No, totally.
It's just, I don't know. It's like, I find myself a lot of times holding them both. Like, for instance, I like to take them on walks. My wife, she's a little more nervous, like taking them on walks by herself, but I like to get out the house. So she's like, you're the outside daddy, I'm the inside mama. So, and so a lot of times, I mean, it could be, it's very rare where both of them are in sync in a rewarding way. For instance, it may be like if my son is like, I'm walking them, my daughter wants to stop and look at something. And so I'm like, come on, Isabel, let's go. Malachi's ready for you. Or vice versa. Or she wants me to hold him and he may walk and I'm like, oh, thank you for having mercy on me and not want me to pick you up too. But it's never like they're both just like, let's just listen to daddy and just keep going. It's always like one could be on point and the other one just wants to act up, and so it's just like it ruins my walk. I'm just like, why do I take y'all are ruining my walk? I just want to enjoy the walk and I want people to wave to us and you know, and I mean I do enjoy the attention, my wife says, like, because people do look at you, are they twins? And
oh my gosh, all the time.
Yes. But it is a lot of work. I mean, even for the walks, or like just if my daughter's really, really attached to my wife. And so like, if she picks up my son, like she just wants to be picked up too. And it's like, just give her a minute. Like she's like, let her change his diaper or just having two babies in the bed too at the same time. I think people don't realize that, like that 3 o'clock wake up is like, like having one on, it's like you're sleeping, like your arm is asleep. They don't want to get off of you. And it's just kind of like, it'd be so much easier if I could just cuddle with one of y'all, you know?
Yeah, right. No. And like, to kind of go back to the whole sleeping thing, I know you were saying that your daughter gets up like clockwork at 3 a.m., right? So I have one where she could go to sleep on her own. And I was just like, Lala, I love you. Thank you.
Yep.
I was like, Lala, you tired? Yes. And she'll go and just lay down and that's that. But Cece, like, she's the one that she needs touch, right? So, and she'll tell you, she's like, mommy stomach or mommy back, you know, and you don't necessarily have to rub her stomach or back. Just as long as she knows that you're there, your hands on her, she's good. But a lot of times, like, when, you know, in that moment or like when they're sleeping, like that's when I get a lot of things done. And so she wants me, it's like if she'll wake up, like she'll go to sleep and then she'll realize, oh snap, mommy's gone, you know, and then she wakes up and then it's like this whole cycle again. So, but for the most part, she's sleeping through most of the night, but she does still kind of wake up a little bit like that. And I'm just like, when does this end? Like, is this going to be... I thought it was going to be done by now, but I guess not.
She sounds like Isabel.
Hold that thought. We're going to get back to you on that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so back, y'all. We were just talking about how our kids, we have one that'll sleep no problem, and the other one is just like, almost like fear of missing out. That's what I used to call it. I did an episode on, I was like, my baby has FOMO, okay? She's like, what's going on? Like, I need to be a part of it. But she's gotten better, but she just still needs that touch. She needs to know that mommy is there, somebody's there with her, right? And so you were just about to explain how your daughter Isabel kind of goes through the same thing, right?
Yeah, so I feel like it's the same thing. So it's the Malachi, he will go on the bed, but he won't go to sleep. He will jump up for literally in the bed for like, I promise you, for like an hour. And she will like, she used to join him, jump up, but now she'll go right to sleep.
Okay.
But when he goes to sleep finally, he's knocked out. So
Yeah.
I would say for Malachi, out of 7 days out of the week, he will sleep for 5 and wake up 2. Isabel will wake up 5 out of the 7 nights and sleep for 2.
Yeah.
But of course, it's usually like, so it's 7 days for us because the 2 nights that she sleeps, he wants to wake up.
Exactly.
He's up. So it's never a break. Or on his second day, it's her 5th day getting him. So they're both up. So but she will knock out for the most part. She's like, good night, boy. She was like, I'm not fooling with you. She will roll over on him. She'll play with him for like 10 minutes and then she will like roll her blanket on her and go to sleep.
Right.
But she wakes up at 3. So it's just like, it's just kind of like, and we believe in a schedule. And I think for my wife, she gets more frustrated than me because it's like, we're sticking to the schedule. And a lot of times the schedule just doesn't work with twins. Like you have to have a schedule, but you just gotta like, no, it's not you. Things happen.
Yeah.
Happen. And we try to put them down by like 8 o'clock now. We used to, when they were younger, we used to try to put them down between 7 and 7:30, and that's when they were like a couple months old. But now they're 2, the goal is always 8, between 7:30 and 8:30, but the sweet spot is 8. But 8:15 and you're still trying to like comb somebody's hair, 8:20, 8:30, and you're like, oh, it's almost 9 o'clock now. And you're like, okay, maybe they even be more tired. And that's the thing too, I think we're new school too. Like my parents are from the old school and they were just like, we would just let y'all just pass out on the couch and just fall asleep. Y'all got tired and y'all would go to sleep and we went to sleep. But it's like, we can't do that, especially with twins. Like, when am I going to eat? When am I going to do my podcast? When am I going to work? When am I going to call a friend or, have, or watch something on TV with my wife? So it's just like, soon as they go down, I think that's the most frustrating part is when they do not go down for a nap for us.
Yes.
That is the most frustrating part.
This is true.
Because you need that time to get stuff done to even eat. Like for me, like I usually I'm trying to like eat really quick because I usually can't eat with them. I will like make a bagel and make food. Yeah. But it usually just gets cold because I take 1 or 2 bites and somebody needs me over here, somebody needs this, or and so it's just kind of like you just learn to survive.
I know you were talking about like having a schedule for them, and I totally agree. Like you need some type of like structure and some type of schedule, but you know what? I feel like these lately it sounds good, you know what I mean? And I really do try to stick to a schedule, but like you said, it's just like sometimes you just gotta wing it because and especially like if you're out doing things or whatever. And as far as like the nap, sometimes I feel like it's a good thing for me when they don't take a nap because I'm like, ooh, they're gonna go to bed early tonight,
Well, we started that too, probably maybe about 2 months ago. My wife and I said, okay, we're going to try to cut out the nap when they're home to just wear their butts out. And we're going to push through. But I'm like, but I need a nap. I was like, when they go down, I'm tired. When am I going to eat? So she's like, just wing it. We could take a shift and we can get through it. And so, okay, they're going to just be extra tired. No nap. And most of the time it hasn't worked. Like it works for Isabel, I would say somewhat. But Malachi, I'm like, you haven't been to sleep. Why are you still up? Like
he's on to what y'all are doing. He's all like, nope, y'all not gonna get me.
It's like you got your milk, you ate good, you've been walked outside. And we have like a pool, and so like they get into like the jacuzzi part, and I try to like wear them out in there. I'm like, okay, like you swim, you're hungry, and it still doesn't work sometimes.
I'm like, I'm more worn out than they are, right?
And so I think that's the most disappointing part for us. Is the frustrating part is that during those nap times, when we don't give the naps, like you said, they sit on sleep sometimes, or when we give the nap, they won't sleep but I need you to have things to do. So because I just did an episode where I was just talking about like when do I find time? Because people always ask like, how do you do it? Like you got this going on, that in twins, and you're there, you're here, there. And I'm like, honestly, like when they're asleep, that's when I get all my work done. That's when I feel the most creative. I feel like, okay, I can do this, but it's usually late at night,
like during their naps, it's like, okay, sometimes, but there's still other things going on in the house that can wake them up and stuff. So I don't really rely too much on that time, because I'm like, at any moment, one of them's going to wake up and be like, mommy, like, or something.
Exactly.
But at night, like, that's the time where it's the most quiet in the house. There's no distractions. And, you just got to kind of find the time when you can, especially with twins. Cause I mean, it gets really busy. It gets really hectic and everything. So, how would you say like fatherhood has changed you? Like, Curtis prior to the twins and Curtis now.
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I feel like it's changed my DNA. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just like the root of me, I feel like really has changed on what I feel like is a priority. They were born in November, and then the pandemic happened in March. They were literally 3.5 months old. And it was like a whole new world. You're a new father. I'm a new husband. And so it's just, I think I'm just always paranoid, to be honest with you. And I hate to say that, but I'm just constantly paranoid about what's going on in the world, what's going on with them. If we're in the car with them, and I'm just like, oh, my wife is in the car, I'm constantly like praying that they make it home. Like, I know it's bad to say, but it's just like, I'm just always I hate to say I'm thinking the worst, but I'm always just paranoid. Like, but I've grown up a lot too. I have a lot more patience. Like, when I tell you my patience have been stretched to the limit, my parents, you know what I mean? I'm from the South. My parents are old school. We're from South Carolina, rooted South Carolina people. And, I was like, by now these kids would have had the belt. Like, my parents had not played, but I have like, I'm trying to do the more what society's accepted, the redirections and the time out, and, and not rewarding negative behavior and stuff like that. And so I feel like for me, I have been stretched to have more humility and humility, I think, and just using restraint, because I never thought that I could have this much patience when you have like a screaming person on you. But it's when it's your own, I feel like it is different. You can deal with it different. Like, when my son, he's crying on me, it's just my instincts kick in where it's just like, he's mine, and I can handle this. Like, but at the same time, you do feel like a failure a lot of times. Like, what am I doing wrong? But it's like this instinct that kicks in where I just look at them, and I have an out of body experience. Like, wow, like I created this, and but I'm just paranoid. I really am, especially I think for both of them, but a little more right now just for my son. Having a black son makes me extremely afraid right now. Like, I'm just like, I have anxiety constantly just thinking about him as he gets older. I mean, and this is this may sound crazy or dumb, but there was this one instinct where my son likes to hug my daughter a lot. He always wants to hug her. And then I remember we were walking, and there was another little girl, and he tried to hug her. And the first time he hugged her, the parents were like, ah. And then the second time I was like, okay, Malachi. But I just like, and not, I mean, he's only 2, and I'm reading more into it, but it was just kind of like, I just think like, okay, Malachi, you can't go to school and you can't be hugging on these little girls, but he's 2 and they get it. But it's just me I'm in my own head, but at the same time, I'm just thinking about like
the reality of it. You know what I mean? Like when they get older, I get it 100%. I was just at the park with my girls, and I was telling my sister, I was like, and they're very friendly. Like, they'll go and go play with anybody and everybody. But sometimes it makes me nervous because you don't know what those kids are being taught at their house, right? And it's just like, they're over there like, oh, hey, like, I'm Cece, I'm Lala, whatever. And then I'm just like, I just hope that this other kid don't do nothing crazy, like, but it's just because of the my experiences and my interactions with adults, you know what I'm saying? Just because it's like, and as a Black woman, as a Black person, you know what I'm saying? And so it makes you like, it kind of tense up, like, okay. And so sometimes I'll redirect how you did Malachi, like, okay, Cece, let's go down the slide, or because she'll sit there and hug and touch and play with this, you know, all the time. And I try not to intervene because I do want them to have like those moments, you know what I mean? I don't want them to retract or be introverted. I love that about them, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, how do I create that boundary without influencing how they really are, if that makes sense, you know?
It does. I mean, at the playground, I do get anxiety. Like, that's why I was like, we need to get a playground in the slide in the backyard. I can't keep taking y'all to parks like with a bunch of other kids. Now, I will say one positive thing is that, and one negative thing, I'll mention that too, is that I have met some awesome parents, and I just feel like now that I have kids, people look at me different. In a weird way, I feel like I'm the safer Black man, to be honest with you. When I walk with my kids, I feel like people receive me more. I feel like they're more welcome to talk to me. I have exchanged numbers with some awesome people just going to the park and other parents, and so like that's become like my tribe of like, if I see like another father, he'll give me the heads up. I give him the heads up, and I've exchanged numbers with other men, and it's been like just a whole new world of where people
that's awesome.
I'm getting to know just because I have kids. I mean, one time I was late coming back from the walk, and my wife's like, what took you so long with the kids? I was like, I had 2 people ask me for my number. Like, I exchanged them with 2 neighbors, and they would have never asked me if I was just walking by myself.
This is true.
Because I had kids, they have kids, and so we have that like-minded people think alike, and it's been a great thing. But there is something kind of that happened. I remember at the park one time, my daughter, this little boy, I mean, she probably was a little under 2. He might have been like 3. I remember he was just running, just a kid, and he hugged her randomly and kissed her. And I was like, and I looked, and I was like, where is his parents? And I mean, it was innocent. He's a kid, right? And so, of course, I just kind of like, all right. And I just kind of like pulled her. I didn't do anything to him, but it's just kind of like, he's a kid. And so what are you going to do? You know, it was an innocent, but so it was just kind of like moments like that. But I do think about like, somebody going to push them. How do you handle that? Or it's like, or are they going to push somebody? How am I going to handle that? My kids aren't perfect either. So it's not all about, I want to make sure that they're being correct. And my daughter is a little more social. My son is definitely a little more of an introvert, where like, if you come and play with him, he'll entertain you for a moment. But he's pretty much like, it's about me and my sister and my parents. If you want to hang out for a minute, I hang out with you. And my daughter's like, she wants to speak to everybody. He's not like that at all. He's like, leave me over here.
Right.
And I don't need you and you don't need me. But and that's how he rolls outside of his sister. And so I guess they do have that twin bond with that part where he likes to hold her hand when they walk.
Oh, that's the cutest thing. Oh my God. That's so adorable.
Like, he will hold her hand and she wants to hold his hand, like and it's just like, I love it. Like, and I try to make him do. My wife's like, stop trying to make him hold hands and hug.
Like, I was like, but do you see how cute this is?
You're right. I'm like, grab her hand, Malachi. And,
I love it. There's Lala, Laren, and Siren. Those are my girls' names. I don't think I mentioned that, but we call them Lala and Cece. And so Lala, she's technically the older one by 13 minutes, and Cece is the baby, right? But Cece, she thinks she's somebody's mom. She thinks like, she's the boss, okay? But one thing about her, like, I love this about her. She is so sweet. She's so caring. And so at any moment, like, she may provoke Lala. They might get into it over a toy or something, but you better not mess with Lala. Like, she's always gonna make sure her sister is good. If she hears her crying in another room, she's Lala, and she takes off. Like, what's wrong, girl? Like, I've been thinking they have this whole conversation in their head, but they understand each other. Sometimes I don't understand what they're saying. They're talking, but sometimes I'm still like, okay, just show me what you're talking about, because I don't get it, right?
Yeah.
But it's just the cutest thing to see their bond that they have. And like I said, she might mess with her and poke at her a little bit, but you better not do nothing to her sister Lala, and vice versa too. Like, Lala's she does care. She's a caring, she's caring as well, but she's more like, I would say, Malachi, whereas like, she could do her own thing and she'll be good. Every once in a while she'll if something's going on with Cece, she'll go over there and her thing is, you know, like sometimes I'll pretend like I'm crying or something, or, you know, like act like I'm hurt, right? And she'll walk up to you and be like, "Oh, mommy, don't cry," and rub your face and give you a kiss. So like they both have their sweet moments, but
that's Lala, right?
Yeah, that's Lala. But Cece, she takes it to a whole nother level. Like she's the boss around the house for real.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And I hate to get into that whole, and I don't know how you feel about that. Like I used to always ask people like which one is older, but I think I've been taught as a twin parent, you don't really encourage that. I don't know if you learned that also, but it's like people ask about, like, I always say like they're the same age, like one just the doctor just pulled him out first, so, right? And so like some people don't even tell their twins who came up first because they're the same age. And so, but I used to be that person too, which one is older? They're the same age, like, and so I get annoyed sometimes when people ask me that, but they don't know because I did the same thing. I don't know how you feel about that, but there is a dominant twin, and my daughter is definitely the dominant twin. I mean, I remember one time, I think my son pushed her, and I'm over here redirecting him and telling him, "You cannot do that. That's not nice." And he started crying. She jumped on me, "Isabel, Daddy, be nice to Malachi. Don't make him cry." I'm like, I'm trying to protect you.
Right.
He just pushed you on the ground.
Right.
So, but she is like really protective over him. Even in the womb, she was like that. She was the one who kicked more. She was the one who moved around more.
Yes, yeah.
And he was bigger, but she took up all the space. Yeah.
That's so cool. Like I said, I love to see their bond. And I just did spoke with one of my friends. She's another flight attendant, but she's also a twin as well. And so I was just talking to her about her bond that she has with her brother. And so, you know, it was just reassuring that like, no matter what, no matter how old they get, like they're always going to have this bond together. You know what I mean? And she's just like, even though I could be, she's like, my brother doesn't make a decision without calling me first. Even if he doesn't like what I got to say and all this stuff, she was like, he is going to call me, you know, and vice versa. Like, you know, that's just how they are. And so that made me feel good knowing that they have that forever. You know what I mean? And so, I just think it's like really dope. Even though it's a lot of times, I do feel really blessed to have my girls. I'm just like, I don't know why God chose me. I don't know why they chose me or anything. But it was for a reason, you know what I'm saying?
But he did.
And he did. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'd be doing without them. Like, you know, it's so crazy to think, you know. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can attest to it. It's just like life it's totally different, but not necessarily like not in a bad way. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I was ready. I don't feel like I have any regrets. You know what I mean? I had them at an age where I felt comfortable, you know, wasn't because I'm like, I was just telling my mom the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, how I said some days, you know, you feel like you're killing it and some days you're not. And so I was like, I don't know how like young parents do it, you know? And I'm just like, I'm here at a whole 36, like, oh my God, what? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. It's like an out of body experience. Like I become home like the stay-at-home dad, like my wife and us always having this conversation about we need to get out more and do things without them. But I don't like to, as much as I get annoyed while I'm here, I just feel bad being away from them. Like I cannot, I think I've been away from them more than a night, like maybe in over 2 years, maybe 3 times, maybe.
Yeah.
One time I went back to South Carolina and that was for 3 nights and I could barely sleep. And then I don't even know when, I went to San Diego one time, overnight one time. So that was it. And just, I mean, I have a brother. I have a brother and a sister. I'm the middle child, but me and my brother are 20 months apart. And people thought we were twins.
Okay.
But it is a different experience when you literally start with somebody at the same place. It is like, and people just will never understand. Like they literally are going through every single thing together for the first couple years of their lives. And it's a different type of bond. It really is. And I hope that they grow up, and I know it is a little different for boy-girl twins versus same gender or identical. But it is reassuring to hear about your friend. And I feel like my daughter's always going to be looking after him. So.
No, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. She reassured me that, you know what, that twin bond, it never goes away. So, yeah, but I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying it. So what advice would you give to I mean, not just twin fathers, but like new fathers, right? You know, you're new, your first time father as well. Like, what's something if, you know, there's a guy out there, he and his wife just found out they're having a baby or they're having twins. So what would you say to that guy?
I would give him the same advice a good friend gave to me, is that let go of all your expectations. And when the baby is born, they're their own individual. Whatever you wanted or you thought they were going to be is not what they're going to be. Like, this is a full human that has their own personality, and you have to receive the personality that they are. So I think that was the hardest thing for me, is wanting to like create who I wanted them to be and just understand that they are their own individual. And you have to, when you receive that and you understand that, then it'll be so much easier. It's even like my son right now, he's not eating what we want him to eat, but we have to like, okay, he's a picky eater. We have to accept that. It's like things like that, or like, you know, just anything like that. And so I think like for me, it's just understanding that what you're bringing into the world, or whoever you're adopted, however you become a parent, know that that person is their own individual, and you have to just meet them where they are. So, I like that because and especially with twins, because so many times we just kind of want to clump them together, right? Like it's a one size fit all type deal, and it's not, you know. These are two totally different personalities. One's going to require a little more love, a little more touch, physical attention, right? And the other one may not. You know, you just got to kind of figure out which goes with which, how they rock it, what kind of personalities they have, you know. So I love that. I love that advice, that, you know what, they're their own person, and you got to adjust, you know, not them, you got to adjust to it, I have to adjust to make them feel safe and for them to thrive in how they see fit, how they want to learn and develop. And so I think that is the best advice that I could give a new father, is just adjust what you want, and it'll be a lot better. Okay, awesome. Well, Curtis, this has been really fun. Honestly, like I said, to find somebody that just knows the struggle, and I could sit here and listen to you all day and be like, yep, I know what you're talking about, you know, and just having that legacy, right? You know, it's a legacy that we created, that we birthed into this world, right? Whether we knew it was going to be two or not, you know, they're going to be a part of us forever, you know. And so with talking about legacy and just kind of wrapping things up, what can we expect from Uncovered Legacy in the future? Well, I want to say thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. And your twins are beautiful. And this is motivating for me to get advice from another twin parent. And so I appreciate that. And what you can expect, season 3, we just wrapped up season 3. I have season 1 and season 2 out already, and we are in editing season 3. And what you can expect is more storytelling, more testimonies of how people got to where they are and where they're going in life. The next season is a lot about people who have high learning educations, or first-time parents, or I have someone on there who was molested, who is a motivational speaker now. I have a guest who's a DJ, and he didn't see that was his path. He thought he was going to work in corporate America like the rest of us, and now he's with his 8 to 5, and now he's fully being a DJ artistic. I go to say his name. And so just more of the same. And also I have someone who I met on Ancestry, like a cousin who I've never met before. And so I interviewed her, and we're trying to figure out how we're related. And so that was really cool also. And so more of the same, but just different testimonies and just as important stories that need to be shared and told. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you doing that, because you know what, everybody has a story, everybody has a journey. And so thank you for showcasing that, you know, for giving people that platform to do so. So again, y'all, go ahead and follow, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff to Uncovered Legacy. This has been awesome. Thank you so much, Curtis. And yeah, we're gonna have to do this again, because there's so much more that we can touch on in this one topic, right? Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. No, thank you. You enjoy the rest of your day. You too. All right. Bye. Thank you.